on a cold morning in 1943. A bomber took off from a military base, its crew unaware that this would be their final mission. Over the icy waters of the North Atlantic, the plane disappeared without a trace, its radio silence echoing through the vast empty sky. What happened to the grey phantom? Was it a mechanical failure, enemy interference, or something far darker, a force beyond human understanding? As the hours stretched into days, the world waited for a sign, but no wreckage was ever found. No bodies, no evidence of where the bomber had gone. It was as if the plane had vanished into thin air, only to reappear in the most unsettling of ways. Some believe the grey phantom still haunts the skies, lost to time, a ghostly reminder of the mysteries that refuse to be solved. And for the families of those who vanished that day, the search continues, but the truth may never be known. Join us as we dive into the story of the ghost bomber of Iceland, a tale of mystery, lost heroes, and a question that still lingers in the shadows. What really happened to the crew that vanished mid-air? The past doesn't sleep. It lingers. In ash and iron, in whispers behind ruined walls, buried in silence, are stories left untold, echoes of those who vanished, voices lost to time. But the archive remembers. This is where history breathes again. This is Archived Stories, because some stories were never meant to be forgotten. The year is 1943. The Second World War rages on, with each side locked in a deadly struggle for control over the skies. Amid the chaos of the war, the United States Army Air Force sends its finest bombers to strike targets deep behind enemy lines. Among these bombers is the legendary B-17 Flying Fortress, a four-engine aircraft designed to endure the rigors of battle and deliver destruction with precision. The crew of one particular B-17, known as the Grey Phantom, was a tight-knit team of experienced airmen. They had seen the horrors of war firsthand and had faced challenges that tested their resolve, but nothing could prepare them for the events of their final mission. Captain Richard "Rick" Halloran, a seasoned pilot, was at the helm. Known for his calm demeanor under pressure, Halloran had flown countless sorties over enemy territory. His co-pilot, Lieutenant Tim Keller, was just as experienced. Together they formed a formidable duo in the skies. Alongside them were the other members of the crew: Sergeant John Miller, the radio operator, Corporal Brian Frost, the tail gunner, and Lieutenant Charles Beck, the bombardier. They were all highly skilled, each contributing their own vital expertise to the operation. Their mission was simple on paper: a reconnaissance flight over Iceland to gather intelligence on enemy positions in the North Atlantic. But that routine mission would become anything but ordinary. The morning of the mission dawned cold and crisp, the kind of cold that pierced through the skin and settled deep in the bones. The aircraft was prepped, the crew climbed aboard, and the engines roared to life as they ascended into the cloudy skies above their base. As they navigated over the turbulent Atlantic, the crew engaged in their usual banter, talking about home, their families, and the endless string of missions they had been part of. As they approached Iceland, the mood began to shift. The weather, once clear, began to change rapidly. Thick clouds descended, the visibility dropping to near zero. Captain Halloran, ever vigilant, adjusted their course to navigate the increasingly unpredictable skies. Despite the poor weather conditions, there were no immediate signs of danger. The aircraft was built for this kind of challenge. But then something inexplicable happened. The crew reported strange readings on the instruments, flickering radar, interference on the radio, and an unusual vibration throughout the plane. Sergeant Miller, the radio operator, tried to raise ground control but only received distorted static in response. Everything was fine up until the moment it wasn't, Lieutenant Keller later recalled. It was as if the whole plane just changed. The atmosphere inside the cockpit felt heavier, like something was pressing down on us. The last transmission from the bomber was a brief, garbled message sent out by Sergeant Miller. "This is Grey Phantom. We are experiencing some technical issues. Cannot maintain signal. Stand by." After that, silence. The sudden silence left military command in shock. The bomber was scheduled to check in shortly after the transmission, but the minutes stretched into hours with no word. Ground crews began to worry. It was out of character for the Grey Phantom to lose contact in such a manner. Search teams were immediately dispatched. Several Allied aircraft, including bombers and fighters, scoured the skies over Iceland, hoping to catch sight of the Grey Phantom or find some trace of the crew. But as the hours turned into days, the search began to lose hope. No wreckage, no distress signals, and no bodies were found. Local residents in Iceland reported strange sightings during this time. Some spoke of a dim, flickering light in the sky, almost like an aircraft far above, moving erratically through the clouds. Others claimed to have seen a shadowy form skimming low over the mountains before vanishing into the mist. But none of these reports could be substantiated. The search continued for weeks, yet nothing definitive was discovered. The official military stance was that the bomber had likely crashed into the ocean or crashed in one of the many remote regions of Iceland. But with no wreckage or remains, the case quickly grew cold. With no answers, rumors began to spread. Some speculated that the bomber had fallen victim to a mechanical failure, a malfunction in the aircraft's systems that led to a fatal crash. This seemed plausible, given the strange readings from the aircraft before it lost contact. Others pointed to the possibility of enemy action, an intercepted mission, an attack by enemy aircraft, or even sabotage. But as time went on, more fantastical theories began to emerge. Some suggested that the Grey Phantom had vanished due to a rare meteorological phenomenon, a type of atmospheric disturbance that could cause a plane to become disoriented and disappear into the clouds, lost to the world. Others began to entertain more supernatural ideas. One theory, particularly popular among the locals, was that the bomber had crossed into a ghost zone, an area of the sky where time and space seemed to distort. Some even suggested that the crew had been taken by an unknown force, perhaps a curse of some kind, forever trapped in another realm. The most eerie theory was that of the ghost bomber, a name that began to spread among military circles and local residents. According to some, the plane did not crash at all. Instead, it was said to still roam the skies, an uninvited phantom on a mission that was never completed. As years passed, a number of sightings were reported, mysterious flashes of light in the sky that could not be explained. Could these be remnants of the Grey Phantom, still flying, lost forever in the mists of time? As the years turned into decades, the mystery of the ghost bomber continued to haunt the memories of those who had known the crew. Families of the missing airmen held out hope, never fully accepting the notion that their loved ones were lost forever. The case was officially closed, but the unanswered questions left a void that could never be filled. Over time, the story of the ghost bomber became part of military legend, an unsolved mystery that captured the imagination of countless people. The site of the disappearance was marked on maps, but to this day, no wreckage has ever been recovered. The families of the crew have since passed away, but the haunting story of the bomber lives on. Even today, some believe that the grey phantom still flies. The phenomenon is attributed to the many strange occurrences around Iceland, rumours of unexplained lights, sightings of aircraft that seem out of place, and whispers of lost crews still trying to finish their missions. While the disappearance of the grey phantom haunted the memories of those directly involved, the search for the bomber did not cease immediately. For weeks, military personnel combed through the cold, unforgiving terrain of Iceland, the vastness of the land making their task even more daunting. Snowstorms and high winds often hindered their efforts, creating conditions that seemed almost designed to obscure any trace of the aircraft. Yet, despite all the obstacles, the military refused to give up. The search teams expanded their reach, covering both the island's mountainous ranges and the frigid waters that bordered the coast. They were determined to uncover something, anything, that could explain the disappearance of this aircraft. They didn't just want closure, they needed answers. But after weeks of relentless searching, nothing was found. No wreckage, no remains, no signal. It was as if the grey phantom had never existed. Even the most advanced tracking technologies of the time, radar and sonar, proved ineffective. Some aircraft even conducted deep-sea sonar scans in the Atlantic, hoping to find a wreckage that had somehow sunk into the ocean. But again, nothing. For every lead, there was another dead end. As the official search ended, the families of the missing crew members were left to grapple with the unknown. The grief was sharp, but so was the determination. They never stopped seeking the truth, never stopped hoping for some sign of their loved ones. Letters were sent to government officials, inquiries made to military leaders, and private investigators were even hired to investigate further. But after a time, the official response remained unchanged. The case had been closed. Still, the families could not give up. The wives, children, and parents of the lost crew members would gather. Their conversations always centered around one thing: the grey phantom. In quiet corners of the United States and Iceland, family members continued their own investigations, never allowing the disappearance to become a forgotten chapter of history. They would speak of strange dreams, of moments when they felt the presence of their loved ones nearby, as if the spirits of the crew had never truly left. Some even swore they saw lights in the skies above Iceland, flickering and dim, hovering in the distance, almost as though the bomber had returned, silently watching. In 1952, nearly a decade after the disappearance, one particularly striking report was sent to the authorities. A fisherman, whose boat had been stranded off the coast of Iceland, claimed to have seen a large, dark shape in the sky during the early hours of a storm. The aircraft, he said, was flying low to the ocean's surface, and its shape resembled a large bomber. He tried to signal the aircraft, but it vanished almost immediately into the clouds. As the years passed, the grey phantom began to take on a life of its own. People spoke of it in hushed tones, their conversations laced with both fear and wonder. Was it a ghost story? Was it simply a tragic accident, amplified by the passage of time and the power of suggestion? Or was there truly something inexplicable behind the disappearance? The phenomenon spread far beyond Iceland. As the mystery deepened, rumors of similar strange occurrences surfaced in other parts of the world. Lights in the sky, planes vanishing without a trace, and unsettling radio signals that seemed to come from nowhere. Some claimed that the Grey Phantom was the first in a series of inexplicable incidents that happened to military aircraft over the years, suggesting a larger, unspoken pattern that linked them all. The tale of the ghost bomber became more than just a single, isolated event. It became a symbol of the unknown, an invitation to question the very fabric of reality. Was there something we were missing? Something beyond our understanding? Some have suggested that the bomber's disappearance was linked to military experiments with advanced technology that may have inadvertently caused the aircraft to slip into a rift in time or space. Others argued that the Grey Phantom was the victim of something far older and more terrifying than any technology, perhaps a curse, an ancient force that had been awakened by the ravages of war. As we reflect on the ghost bomber of Iceland and the mystery that continues to linger, we are left with more questions than answers. What happened to Captain Halloran, Lieutenant Keller, and the rest of the crew? Did they truly vanish into thin air, or did they meet a tragic though conventional end? Was it an accident, a mechanical failure, or something more bizarre? Theories abound, but none have provided definitive answers. What we do know is that this story has left an indelible mark on history, one that refuses to be forgotten. The Grey Phantom lives on in the shadows, a symbol of the mysteries we cannot explain. And perhaps, as we continue to search the skies, we will remember that not all things are meant to be understood. Some stories are meant to remain untold.